Where all are we on?
Huh?
You said we're streaming in 4 different places. What all are we on?
There's two different Facebook pages I stream to, and two different YouTube places I
Nice.
stream to. Yeah. Cassie created a YouTube for Morgan's Moonshine, and Damon Beatty from the Militia Group started a militia group on YouTube. So he lets me stream that on Sunday nights since we're the only ones going live on Sunday night. Well, it used to be. I don't know. A lot of people's changed their time schedules and their days when they go live, and so it is what it is.
For sure.
Wait for a few people to pop in here, then I'll do a quick introduction, and it might not be so quick because I get nervous on these things. I've done hundreds of these. I still get nervous every time.
Yeah.
We could do a shot, I guess. Calm that nerve a little bit.
Yeah.
Ding
You want
ding.
to do a shot? Let's do a shot together.
Let's do a shot. I'm doing some rum that I got from Claire Robinson, Master Distiller. She was one of the winners on Master Distiller show. And
Cheers.
this is a rum she made.
I would love to try that.
Man, that is nice. That is
Yeah.
really tasty. It's a spiced rum. Um, we're gonna have her on a podcast just soon. Old St. Pete spiced rum.
Nice.
She's the master distiller there at St. Pete Distillery. I went down there about 3 weeks ago. She gave me a private tour. It was really nice. It was cool. The hell of a setup they got down there. Man, that place is huge. I was really impressed.
That's awesome. I love distillery tours. If anybody wants to give me a distillery tour, hit me up.
Really.
I'll come right
There-
out.
There's a lot of them, man. I can't, over the last, I don't know, 10 years, they've popped up everywhere. And I know here in the state of Florida, I think there's 50 different
Wow.
distilleries. One last week blew up in the emergency.
Really?
Yeah, a guy blew up and he ended up dying over it, the owner. Dude, I couldn't
Damn.
believe this shit. I could not believe this shit, Derek. They were showing it on the news. And I was watching the news, feeds off of the internet and whatnot. And I don't know if it was a real one or it was a, I don't know. You saw his leg laying in the front yard, a leg. And I'm like,
Well,
he got a
shit.
boot on, he's got camouflage pants on, and you're like, no, they didn't just show that on the news, did they? And I was freaking out, going, no. But yeah, he ended up passing away from all his injuries. There's two others that got injured from the glass blowing out the front window. There was two people walking by, an elderly couple was walking by, and when it blew up, all the glass blew out, and they got all cut up. But
Damn.
they're okay. They survived. They got medication, medical help, all that. But everything worked out for them. But yeah, he ended up passing away.
I hadn't heard anything about that. That's
They
crazy.
still haven't. They still haven't announced what the cause of it was.
I was gonna say, I wonder what went wrong exactly. So many different things could have.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you're distilling. Well, I don't even see one person in here watching us.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's all, man. You know, something I'll bring up, and it happens a lot. But somebody will be engaged in something else or doing something else for that day or evening or time frame, and this is all recorded. They'll just come back and watch it later,
Yeah.
which that's good. That's I get a lot of comments after the fact and weeks. I'm talking weeks after a podcast. So, okay. Dude, that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, I'm gonna pour me another shot for when Uncle Joey gets here. This is good rum. This is good spiced rum right here. He, I guess he's co-host on Still Talking with Big Easy,
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna grab another jar.
they had Claire on a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was right before I went down to see her, and he's talking about Florida. And hey, Florida, you guys should have a lot of rum. I want some rum. So he told her, make sure you give Uncle Moonshine, make sure he gets a bottle of rum from you.
Yeah. I love rum. A lot of people they want to overlook it, but for me, it's one of the most versatile liquors
It
out
is.
there. And there are so many different cocktails you can do with it. There's so many ways to flavor it. You can age it. I mean, it's a wonderful spirit. And one of my favorite things is tiki bars.
Oh yeah.
Anywhere I go in the US, I'm looking for a tiki bar. Get some, or a rum club, something like that.
Apple Rye just popped in. He said, "Hey, there's only one uncle in here." I guess I should change the name for tonight and say one uncle in a jar. One uncle in a shot. One uncle in a shot.
There you go.
Yeah, right, Daddy. Jason's supposed to come along. Uncle Joey's supposed to come along here before too long. We're waiting on him, but he don't show up before too long. I got to call it early night tonight because I got 3 a.m. in the morning to go to work. So
Dang.
yeah, when I had Mondays off, it was no big deal. I'd stay out here all night and be on podcast. But yeah, it's all good. Well, welcome in, right, Eddie. I'm glad you made it, buddy. Richard Henderson's in the house.
Hey, Apple Rye. Hey, Richard Henderson. How's it going?
Yeah,
What are y'all sipping on tonight?
right, Daddy. I like, yeah, Richard. You sipping on any of that poaching?
Got that potato shine.
Yeah, that's what I usually make. We had a great time last night. We didn't get banned. Right, Daddy made that comment because when I first started going live on Facebook, he was my first guest. Right, Daddy was, and man, that guy was cutting up. And I never had that many people. My first time, I had like over 30 people in here watching, right? And after I was all over and done, everybody's like, "Man, that guy is hysterical. He needs to be a comedian." And then I found out later we got talking again on TikTok, and we were in a live. He got me banned out of that. I was like, "God damn it, Daddy!" And I went to Winter Jam, and the night I got back from Winter Jam, I just got 1,000 followers where I could go live by myself, right? Instead of getting on somebody else's live. So I go on there live, and who pops in? My daddy, and I'll be damned. It wasn't 20 minutes. He got me kicked out and banned for 7 days. I'm like, "God dang it, my daddy." A little A's honey rye. Nice.
Little troublemaker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
aged honey rye sounds good.
does sound good. All right, well, let me get this started here. Tonight on Two Uncles in a Jar, we're talking to a man who don't just build stills, he bursts copper creatures that sing when the mash is right. He's the mind, the hands, and the hammer behind Copper Moon Still Company.
That's
Where
right.
every still is built one at a time by a craftsman who knows that good liquor don't come from shortcuts. So tighten up your caps, warm up your thumper, and pour yourself a sip of something honest. Because we're about to talk shop with the man who turns flat copper into liquid magic. Folks, welcome to the jar, Derek from Copper Moon Still Company. Welcome in, Derek.
Thanks, Uncle Moonshine. How are you?
Doing great, buddy. Doing great. Always a
Glad to hear
pleasure
that.
talking to you. I know we've had a lot of talks on TikTok and whatnot. Not a lot, but we hooked up on TikTok. And thought about it the other day. I was like, man, I need to get Derek on here on a podcast, talk about what he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
So
we followed each other for a few years now.
nice. Oh yeah. So that being said, why don't you tell everybody exactly what it is that you do?
Well, I'm Derek. I'm the owner and still builder for Copper Moon Still Company. I build copper moonshine stills and I ship them all over the US. I also teach mash and distilling classes right here at my shop once a month. So anybody who's around who wants to become a moonshiner, I'm over here to turn you into one. I got we get together, we run a still, we do a mash, we do it all simultaneously, so you see the whole process in about an hour and a half. So I'm about making stills and promoting moonshine and anything that comes with it. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
me.
So let me ask you, Derek, what got you started?
Well, uh, I was brewing beer years ago, probably 17 years ago. I started brewing beer, and like I was saying earlier, if you ever get a lactobacillus infection while you're brewing beer, you wish you had a still to do something with. So
Hell yeah.
it was just the natural next step in the process, and so I got myself my first little Olympic dome rapid boiler set up, and that was cool. And then I wanted to get another copper still, or get a real copper still and get it going, and so I built my own, and been doing it ever since.
So what was the first deal you ever built? And
Yep, I still got it.
cool.
Yep.
So what after you did that, what was it that clicked? Is yeah, I can do this better.
You know, that is exactly what it was. My first copper still wasn't beautiful. I think probably everybody's first copper still wasn't beautiful. And I said, man, I wish I did this different. I wish I did that different. And the main thing was that feeling of building it. I wished it never would end. When it was over, I was depressed. I
Oh
said,
shit.
man, that was the most fun I've had in years. How can I make another one? And another investment, another investment. Actually, I just posted me making some liquor on Facebook one day, and there was a guy that lived close by me. He said, "Hey, can I come over and watch you make liquor? This is the coolest thing I ever saw." And I said, "Sure, come over." And he came over. We made some whiskey together, and he goes, "Can I buy this from you?" And I was like, "No, this thing's ugly. You don't want this." And he goes, "Come on, let me buy it from you, man. I love it. I know it makes liquor, and you built it, and you're awesome." I said, "Okay, buy it from me." So I took his money and I bought some more copper and
Oh,
some more tools to do the job a little better. And I built another still that was way better. And so I called him up and I said, "Hey, let's make some liquor together." He said, "Yeah, come over." So I went over and I brought him the new still and I said, "Hey, this is much better, much prettier. You take this still, you know. Are you
damn.
serious?" Said, "Yep." And that's where it got started. Me and that guy Rob, my first customer ever, have been best buds ever since.
That's cool.
And yeah, you just gotta do the right thing all the time, you know what I mean?
We were talking a little bit ago that I was sipping on some spiced rum, and this guy that's in the comments is Chip Lewis. That man has made some of the best spiced rum I've ever had in my life. That guy can make a spiced rum. I'm telling you what. If you ever get the
Hell
chance
yeah.
to meet him, Derek, reach out to him and say I want some spiced rum. Because I'll tell you what, man. I met him at Maggie Valley one year. We were leaving. And me and my daughter are walking out to the car, and I get this tap on my shoulder. He says, "Uncle Moonshine, I want you to try something." I turn around. I've never met the man before. You got a guy out in the middle of the parking lot handing you a jar. It's like, okay, here, what am I getting into? Man, I'll tell you what. Hell yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, really good. Really, really good. Alfredo
Chip,
tried, Alfredo tried it. He's like, oh my God.
Chip, you gotta join the shine off and send me a jar of that spice rum while you're at it, bro.
Hell yeah, Chip. Get on it, buddy. So, you're talking about your first deal and it led you to build another one. I have to ask you, and I love this idea and concept, but what's the philosophy behind building one still at a time instead of mass producing it?
Well, my thing is every still should fit together just right. You know what I mean? So when I build them one at a time, I'm making sure every part is made just for that still. So when you go to hook up the tri clamps, there's no ifs, ands, or buts of whether or not everything's going to fit. You're not going to have to mash
A little
anything
twist
down
here, a
or
little twist there.
twist there. Yeah. So everything's made just for the still. So, and I also like focusing on one project at a time because of quality control. I'm making sure that this still is exactly what it should be. You know.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love the concept of one at a time. And
Yeah.
not knocking anybody, but, they get overwhelmed. I know when I got my first deal from North Georgia Steel, there was a 9 month wait on that bad boy. You know? So you get to a point where you have to hire people. You do. You start mass produce them. So I get that.
Yeah.
But
I
shit, the
think their wait
quality.
list is a lot smaller now. They're a very
Oh yeah.
efficient operation these days.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Walk us through your build process when you build it from raw copper to the finished steel. Walk us through that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. First, you got to do some calculations to find the correct volume, you know.
Like versus 20 gallon versus 30 gallon.
Right. So
Gotcha.
for my stills, I let people have as much customization as they can in the whole process. So the still is what you want it to be at the end of the day.
Okay.
If I can fit it under this shelf or onto this shelf over here, the kind of thing,
Right.
needs to fit under this cabinet up on this shelf, I'll fit it in just right. So you got to get the volume calculations down, cut out your sheet of copper. So I don't have like a basic template for any still size, you know, and I like to ask the customer, do you like them tall and skinny or short and fat? You know, how do you
Short
really
and
want
fat.
this? Yeah. So then I go from there, cut it out, and then I do a lot of drafting. You know, I draft on all my lines. Everything I do is like very meticulously divided, so your lines are very even and spaced apart correctly. And then I go through and I have to fold the edges so everything's hemmed. All of my stills have hemmed edges, and that way I can fit the bottoms and tops into the hem. It makes the structure a lot stronger than just welding it, soldering it to the bottom and then soldering it to the top. So that's another thing that I have to kind of do. Then I go through the rolling, roll everything out, put all the beads in it, and then I put it through my slip roller, which makes it into a perfect circle. And after that, it's just riveting it together, soldering it, and
So
getting
you do rivet the process?
I do. Yeah, everything, all the backs of my stills are riveted, so they're reinforced.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I've seen somebody else do that in the past, and I really like that idea.
Yeah, it's stronger.
Yeah.
It's honestly it's easier on your hands if you do it. I mean, it's better than trying to solder something while holding it together and burning your fingers and, you know.
I don't want part of that. I can't weld or solder with the shit, so yeah, I'd be all over the place. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. And so I have to ask, what separates a good still from a great still?
You know, I know there's some still builders out there that maybe wouldn't agree with me. I think my stills are awesome. They're great. They're excellent. Not only because of the craftsmanship and the attention to detail that goes into it, the thick soldering beads that I put on it, but the fact that it's made by a distiller, somebody who distills often.
Right.
I mean,
That makes a
right
big
behind
difference.
me, yeah, right behind me, there's a blue corn mash, and I don't know, you can probably see it. Yeah, right over there, there's
There we
a
go.
blue corn mash, and then there's a sour mash right next to it. Like, there's a lot of thought that went into how I design my stills. And a lot of that thought is also based around affordability for the customer. Like, like we were talking about, I don't need one of these big prop agitators to mix up. All
Right.
we need is a mash pump. So I install a mash pump that sprays right on the element.
Share
Not
that
only
with.
does it circulate, it
I
heats
interrupt.
more evenly. Yeah, and it sprays right on the element so nothing will scorch. So I'm always looking for little ways to improve the build without having to charge the customer another $600, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Catch up on the comments real quick. Katie Parker says, Apple Rye. Chip Lewis says, hey, brother, been a while. And then he says, appreciate that, brother Mark, because I was complimenting his rum. And then he tells you, we can make that happen. You won't be
Hell yeah.
disappointed. I guarantee you won't be disappointed in that, man. Um,
Yeah, get in on this competition, Chip. It's gonna be
then
awesome.
Apple Rice says, I like my stills like I like my women, short and fat.
That's right.
Right, Danny's always got a funny comment to make. So you kind of already went into this. How do you design differently? But we've talked about customers and what they want, and so and you and I briefly talked about doing rums and how versatile it is. So how do you design a still for somebody that wants to do mainly a rum or maybe a whiskey? Is there any difference on how you build the still, or is it just the way the process of making?
Honestly, pot stills for rum and whiskey are great. I mean, you can rum really well on a pot still just like whiskey. it gets a little different when you're talking about somebody wanting to do a vodka or a gin. You
Right.
know, at that point, I always try to push them towards one of my gin basket columns. So that column will reflux, you'll get a higher proof out of it, and you can really fit the profile of the liquor that you're going for. I also have the bubble bubba cap that has a bubble plate built into the cap, which I got one right here. So that's my bubble bubba cap. And if you
Nice.
look inside,
Oh hell
I
yeah.
have a bubble plate built into the cap.
Hell yeah.
So when the ABV Society was running feints on that last summer, they ran 198 proof.
God
So that
damn.
still, yeah, that still will absolutely make vodka for you. So that's what it really is. It's what kind of liquor do you want to focus on?
Right.
My Bubble Bubba is the most versatile still out there. I mean, you can take the caps off the bubble plate and you can run it like a pot still. You can it comes with its own element in the thump keg, and the thump keg has a reflux column on top of it, so you can run straight from reflux to the worm, and you can run it as a steam injected still using the boiler as the steam injector.
Damn,
So
I love this
yeah.
idea. Dude, I'm liking you a lot more and more, man. I'm liking this shit.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then it comes with all the bells and whistles. You got four different sight glasses on it throughout the system. You got the last stage thermometer. You got the giant sealed worm that comes with every one of my stills. You know, you and all my stills kind of come with larger pipes for increased vapor flow and stuff like that. So
That's something else I
mm,
wanted to talk to you about too. I noticed on that you do use a larger pipe than most people do, and I like that idea because I hear a lot, especially on your bigger stills. A lot of these guys got smaller pipes for a choker, and that becomes a big issue. That's been coming up a lot here lately. People talking about that.
yeah, I've run into still builders running 5/8 inch pipe on a 15-gallon still. I mean, that just sounds dangerous to me.
That's
You get too much, yeah, you get too much foam into that pipe, and I mean, you got a pressure block, and that's not good.
right.
I've
Yeah, I
seen
got
stills come through my shop with a 20-gallon still with a 1-gallon thump keg on it, and they've never been able to run it without it puking. Well, that's a hazard.
yeah.
So just having the mentality in mind to give the customer what they're actually looking for in a still, something that works, something that's functional, and something that makes good cuts and doesn't smear everything you've got. So I think that's really important.
So that brings up. You basically
Hey,
just
Voodoo.
took my next question was what's the most underrated feature new distillers overlook?
What's the most underrated feature on what?
Most distillers overlook. In
Well,
your opinion, of course.
like you were talking earlier about my last stage thermometer, that's a little one, but
I
there's
think
so
it's pretty
much of
big.
your run that you can know what's going on just based off of that thermometer. So I put a thermometer in the pipe running to the worm, to the sealed worm, and I can tell when I'm in my heads, when I'm in my hearts, when I'm in my tails. I can tell what the proof is coming off my still just based off of what the temperature is,
Thank
because
you for saying that.
every molecule of alcohol is a different degree of temperature. And as you're separating these molecules out, they'll go out as the temperature in the system climbs. And you can watch that thermometer and just know exactly what's going on. So I think that's something that people overlook and don't pay enough attention to. And I think the more people who start paying attention to it, the more they can learn how to isolate their flavors
In their cuts.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and your cuts, and make a better product overall.
Yeah, and you know how many arguments I've had over that because I've watched my temperature and people are like, you don't need to watch your temperature. I don't watch my temperature at all. I'm telling you, man, do what you want to do. Do you, but I watch the
Yeah,
temperature.
yeah,
And the fact
exactly.
you put it going into the worm before it goes to the worm, that's huge. And I've never seen anybody else but you do that. And I think that's a huge improvement. I really do.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. And then volume, for me, volume is a big deal. You know, So uh, this is a 40-gallon.
Nice.
Right here is 40 gallons.
That's
Right?
yeah. You need headspace.
Yeah. So not right here. I think that's important too. You know,
And I
I've
got out.
definitely.
I had somebody reach out to me on more than Moonshine the other day that he was puking. He couldn't understand why. I said, "Well, what size pot you got?" He's got 20-gallon pot. I said, where is the 20-gallon coming up at?" He goes, "Right at the cap." I said, "Well, you're puking, man. You got too full. Pull some of that out. You'll be fine." And it did. It
Yep.
worked. Really. Jason Acosta says, "I have a Copper Moon still. Runs like a champ."
Hey, Voodoo. Thanks for
Man,
coming in, bro.
I love that rig that he's got that you built. Man, I think Joe Parks messed up.
Well, she got that nice North Georgia rig now.
Yes, she does, and that's awesome. She loves it. She loves it. She says she runs it all the time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really
But
cool.
Miss Parks, she won that on the ABV Society podcast. And they were doing a charity for a local toy closet down there in Arkansas in the town that they're in. And she donated every show,
Yep.
multiple donations. I mean, I don't even want to think about how much money she gave into it. And she won it fair and square, and she
Yep.
turned around and gave it away. Miss Joe Parks is an angel.
Yes, she is.
And I'm not the first one to say it, and I won't be the last. So,
No, no,
Miss Joe
we all,
Parks.
hell yeah, I'll do a shot to that. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Man, that's good rum. And it's not Chip Lewis's rum, but that's pretty good rum.
I got some blueberry over here. That's what I'm sipping
Ooh,
on. Ice cold blueberry.
I see that. Chilled bottom there. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody feels the same way about Joe Park. She's so awesome. She'll do anything for anybody, and she's always there. She's always a big part of it. She's always on TikTok,
Hmm.
always part of the community. She's the queen. Like, I always comment on Lisa Day. She's on everybody's podcast. She's everywhere on as far as the moonshine community, but so is Joe Parks.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I love that girl.
So Eric Henderson said, so you're saying temperature at worm helps control drip rate along with condenser temp to give you your separation points. No, I mean, I guess it doesn't control it. It
No,
just helps you know exactly where you're at,
right.
you know?
I've been saying this, Derek. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've been
Go
saying this
ahead.
for years. I've been doing this 17 years now, and especially when you do the same mash bill like I do all the time. It's the same. So you get to where you're doing your cuts, you're doing your hydrometer and all that. So, but you're also watching the temperature gauge. You know by watching that temperature gauge exactly where you're at every time.
Right,
At least close. You're going to be close.
right. So there's different molecules of alcohol. Your very lightest molecules that are not attached to corn esters and different flavors from your mash are going to be your heads and your foreshot. Your kind of heavier, medium heavy is your hearts. Those are connected to corn esters, and that's why they're heavy. They're heavier molecules. So those are going to be down below that. And then your heaviest molecules are going to be attached to water. That's your tails. So they're bonded to water molecules. That's what makes them heavy. So if you look at your temperature gauge in the last stage thermometer, you can see I'm at 193. That's the very beginning of where I'm going to start seeing, some smearing on my hearts, and you can know where you're at and you know when to switch out a jar. It's not necessarily that you want to switch out a jar every time a jar is full. You might want to switch out a jar when your temperature tells you it's the right time to do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the importance.
Don't go by the jar. Well, I'm not full yet. Well, screw that, dude. You're gonna have some smear in there. I totally agree. Yeah,
Right.
pull it. Heck yeah. You talked earlier. You offer classes. What do beginners struggle with the most?
Well, all my classes focus on uh, enzyme conversion. I think that's the most important thing when you're teaching a new moonshiner. Because what does every new moonshiner want to make? Whiskey, bourbon, corn liquor. So in enzyme conversion, yeah. That's what I always focus on. So we go over a whole, how does diastatic power, how do you find a grain that has diastatic power? What does that mean? And how do we get the enzymes to convert it the old fashioned way without using a high temp, low temp liquid Amazon or powdered enzyme that we get off Amazon or something, and kind of go from there. Everything else is just melting sugar and water or making tea. You know what I mean? You're either steeping grains at whatever temperature you want to steep them at. Let's just say you're making an all grain whiskey that doesn't have corn, like an Irish whiskey. You put your barley and everything in at 170. That's just fine. You're going to get all the sugars out of there. Um, and everything else is just literally let's melt some sugar and water, cool it off, and throw yeast on it. So I make sure to just make that clear to everybody. This can be as easy as melting sugar and water, but here's the important part for when you want to do corn liquor. You gotta convert your
Get your different flavors, and that's
yeah.
where different corns come into play as well.
I had an old boy come up here for one of my classes. He came up here all the way from Oklahoma. And he said, I've been making moonshine for 20 years. And every time I make it, it just comes out tasting like cornmeal. I said, so what are you doing? He goes, well, I put in, so many pounds of sugar and so many pounds of cornmeal, and I boil it for a minute, and then I let that cool off and I throw my yeast on it. I said, so you're not converting your starches,
Yeah, it's not
you
breaking
know?
down.
Yeah, so that's why it comes out tasting like cornmeal every time. You got a bunch of starch in your
It's
mash.
basically putting, yeah, it's kind of like me putting flavor in my flavor thumper is what I call it. You're just adding flavor, basically. That's why it tastes like cornmeal. Might throw a couple of chocolate chip cookies in there. It might came out tasting like chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. He sent me a message a month later with a picture of his hydrometer floating. He said, this is the strongest liquor I've ever made. Thank you so much. You
Awesome.
know, a lot of people just don't even know about the starch conversion. So that's a big deal.
Have you, back to building the stills, have you ever built something and thought, this might be too much, but I love it?
I think that's how I felt about my bubble cap when I first made it. I do have a project coming up where the buyer is a good friend of mine. He lives here in the city with me, and he wants me to do whatever you want, your masterpiece. And everybody makes a submarine still, but I want to make a battleship still. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah, I want to shape it like a big old battleship.
That would be badass. They'd have the cannon as the drip.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I have some little copper pipes, little half-inch copper pipes coming off as the cannons. We'll do the
Yeah.
USS Missouri,
There you go.
and
Hey,
there
that
you
is a
go.
battleship. Didn't they just retire that a while back?
I don't know if they did.
I've been on that ship. USS.
Really.
Or, yeah, in fact, I think they retired more than a few years ago. They retired it. It used to be
Okay.
in Virginia. My brother was in the Navy. He was on the USS America, and we went out to visit him. We went on the USS America, the aircraft carrier, and then right next to it was USS Missouri. So we went and got on that too and checked that out. That's battleship, man. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is badass. I'd be into that. So here in about a month and a half, I'm gonna start that project, and we'll see how that goes.
Dude, keep us posted, will you? I'd love to see how it goes. We'll have it back on once you get it done. That'd be cool as shit. See the final
Okay,
product. That'd be
that
badass.
sounds good.
I can see it set up for the 4th of July, shooting fireworks out of it at the same time.
That would be dope. You know what? It might be right around the right time.
There you go. I love it. Uh, Richard says, yes, Mrs. Joe is a great person for sure. Cowboys in the house. Says, easy fellow drippers and sippers. Stopping by to support. Shine on. I've learned so much from you, Mark, and alike. Nice to meet you, sir. All right, cool. Richard says, I believe output temp has a lot to do with your final product as well as taste, smell, and feel. Would you agree?
I'd say yeah, that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I try to get my final distillate to be as cool as possible. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So, go ahead.
the distillation process is such a violent process. that when you're capturing everything, you want these oils to solidify in the molecules and everything like that. You do need a lower temperature for that to happen. So, as low of a temperature as you can get. I have one of those little ice cream bowls that you can put in the freezer and make your own ice cream in. I take that out and I put my jars in that as it's coming out, and stays nice and cool throughout the process. And
So that's been some. Hey, Benny McClure's in the house. What's up, Benny? Um, that being said, I talk to a lot of shiners, especially newbies, that think that it's so important to keep that worm at ice cold. Man, they keep that worm temperature down there at 35, 40 degrees. What's your input on that?
I mean, that's really why they're doing it. I mean, there's a certain amount of oils that come through when you're running. There's a certain amount of glycerin that's going to come off of what you're running, and you want to capture that in the molecules of your alcohol. You don't want it to separate. You don't want to have, if it's too warm, it'll separate. You ever ran something too warm and you had oils floating on top?
Well, I didn't have oils, but I'll tell you, it was hot. It was hot.
Yeast bodies and a little weird film floating on top, and that's because everything's separating because it's too warm. So it's important.
Yeah, but to me, there's a fine line as far as too hot and too cold. I run my garden hose through there, and it's just a constant temperature, and that's important to me because I don't want the fluctuation of the water getting hot or cold back and forth. I want a constant temperature. And I agree. I understand what you're saying about the molecules when they're colder, but I like the consistency throughout the run where it's going to be the same temperature.
Yeah, I mean that's why I always do a sealed worm.
Hey,
It,
tell me.
with a regular bucket worm, I mean you're relying on gravity to exchange that liquid. With the sealed worm, your cold water coming in is moving your hot water out, and everything's staying constantly cold. And you can run a much higher flow of cold water in there without worrying about it overflowing, you know? So you
Right.
stay down there in that 65-degree range rather than having to trickle it in and stuff like that.
I asked
And
you the question about earlier about what I do different on my still. That worm would be a closed worm for that very reason. You know how many times? Give me an example. So I'll be out here. I get my run going through the run. I got my drainage going good. My wife goes out and does laundry. That changes my water flow. It fucks up
yep.
that. So I adjust it right. I get the water flow back right. As soon as the laundry's done, now it's overflowing.
Right.
So, if I had that with the closed cap, it would definitely make a world of difference. I,
Yeah,
it, it would change the flow of water, but I wouldn't have to worry about it overflowing all over the damn shed and all that shit too. So,
exactly. Just turn it up higher and let it go.
yeah, just turn it up high and let it go. Fuck it.
What I will say about sealed worms is don't hook them up to a well.
Oh,
Any line, yeah. I mean, you can just run a trickle though. You gotta. I've had some customers hook theirs up to a 1,500 foot deep well, and that's got 500 pounds per square inch of water coming out of it, and you'll blow that worm apart. You
yeah.
know, you only
Well,
need about a gallon of exchange a minute, and you're good.
yeah, I don't think I get that much.
Or you really don't even need that much, but
um, Benny McClure says, "Hey, buddy. Hey, Benny. Good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in." Richard says 65 to 75 ish. That's what I run mine. Mine stays around 75, constant. Uh, um, also says sounds good to me. Richard says, and there are molecules at colder temps that you don't want as well. Yes. So I've heard and read, but I am just a mean for the most part until I can say I got many years in it. Dude, you're spot on, Richard. You're good, man. You're good.
yeah,
Yeah, dude. Just hanging out here, I know I can tell already. You learned a lot, Richard. And he says, last thing he says was that enclosed worm is pretty cool. Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a necessity. I really do. And you do
yeah,
that
I
all
do.
the right?
Every one of them comes with it. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's important. I really do. It makes a big difference in my mind. I
Yeah, it's
haven't used
awesome.
one, but I've seen them ran, and so I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah. I really just want to give distillers the best distilling experience they can buy, and a little circle of copper this big ain't gonna kill me to do it. So let's do it. So,
So, um, now you like to build to the customer's request. And I love that. Absolutely love it. So, what's the wildest custom request you've ever gotten?
mm, the do anything you want one was pretty wild. And it's turning into a battleship. That's pretty cool. Um, I did have a customer who just wanted a lot of specifications. I mean, they wanted everything to be just a little bit different. So instead of the lane arm going this way, we're going to go this way with it, and can we have it so that, the infusion injector is right under the lane arm, all tucked in and, stuff like that. So nothing too crazy, I guess.
But just
But
been more difficult.
yeah, I'd say, the person saying just do whatever you want and me thinking let's do a battleship instead of a submarine, that's going to be the wildest thing. But
I love that, man.
yeah, yeah,
Dude, I want to quit my job, come up there and help you because I want to be a part of that battleship, man.
it's going to be cool. It's
I'm
going to be
not.
real cool.
I can't wait to see how it comes out, and I'm going to add fireworks to it. So when you run, you're shooting fireworks at them.
There you go.
Let's go to war, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right.
Richard says I like a shotgun, but I went wormy. It would be enclosed. Oh, okay. I like a shotgun, but if I went wormy, it would be closed. Yes, absolutely. Sounds like a left-handed person. You're right.
Right. It's just very different.
Yeah, I'm sure. Awesome, man. So, what? That being said, I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your favorite build you've ever done and why?
Hmm, that's a good one.
I was hoping you were going to say mine, but you haven't built it yet.
uh, Probably some of the Bubble Bubba sets that I've built. Those are really cool. I enjoy building them. I'd say the why is because the person who bought it. Um, the the really first Bubble Bubba set that I sold was to a guy here in Diamond, Missouri. Awesome guy, became a great friend, and he's a really good moonshiner. He's actually a moonshiner,
Cool.
and just staying in touch with the customer is a lot of fun, and it brings you a lot of pride over the years.
Sure.
Getting to hear about, oh, I went to this biker rally and I sold 30 gallons of this, and the best thing
Dang.
selling right now is the pickle flavor. I love that kind of stuff. So I think what makes it, the one of the coolest stills you've built is who bought it, and what they're doing with it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, dude, that makes it 100%. Man, damn. I wasn't expecting that answer, but it was the best answer. It really was. That's cool. Hell yeah. I know I've always complimented North Georgia Steel because they're PR. Dude, he's on top of me. Any questions I have, he answers me right away. Love it. You did the same. I reached out to you about a still that I'm wanting to build for my brother, and we talked about it. You were right there on top of it. I love that. It's important to me. And I think it's important to every customer that they get response back. They want answers. They want an idea. They want your input as well. Okay, how do I do this, and what am I going to do if I do this, or how hard would it be, and what's it going to cost me? And so it's very important. And Andrew's been there for me 100%. And I've been sticking to North Georgia Stills all these years because of that reason. But I'm starting to see there's a lot of other still builders as yourself out there that do a really good job, and I like your ideas and your input. So, yeah, buddy, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to have you on the show tonight, and we can introduce you to a lot of people that don't know you and know your stills. And hey, guys, if you haven't uh, checked out Copper Moon before, you can Google it, Copper Moon Stills. Check it out. Got some fine products out there at a very reasonable price. So make sure you check those out.
Yeah.
Seriously, the guy does a really good job.
Thank you. I'm at coppermoonstill.com, and you guys can message me on there, and my phone number is right up top on the banner. So as soon as you log in, you can find it. Text me. Anything, any questions anybody ever has, just give me a holler. And that's the other thing about being a still builder is you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
It's like a still is sheet metal fabrication, it's soldering, it can be welding, it's plumbing work, it's electrical work. You span all of these, you're wearing all of these trade hats, and then at the end of the day, you got to answer questions about, Zymergy, fermentation, distilling, what's wrong with my still right now? What is this? What's happening? What sound is it making?
Yeah.
So you get a lot of calls and you answer a lot of questions, and it's fun.
Yep. I agree with that. So, let me think here. I had a question. I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. So, how has the home distilling community changed in the last few years for you?
For me, I mean, it's gotten bigger. It's gotten a
Oh,
lot bigger.
got a lot
I
bigger.
think I think prohibition is, coming to a close. If you look at this recent legislation by the Fifth Circuit Court
In Texas.
deeming prohibition on home distilling unconstitutional,
Yeah.
that's huge. And no laws have changed right now. Mississippi, you still can't own a still, but that's all coming to a close. And as
Well,
home distilling becomes more popular, as we're all on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook with our groups and our, constant home distilling, and nobody's doing anything about it, I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
I
So,
agree. To me, it's kind of like, dude, I used to be the biggest pothead back in the day. I was the biggest pothead, dude. I just kind of grew out of it. I don't care for it anymore. Once in a while, I might partake, but yeah. Anyway, but back then, I never thought in my wildest dreams that marijuana would be legal. Look at it,
right.
you know. So yeah, I see it around the corner. I see it absolutely.
So I live in Belton, Missouri. And if you know who Carrie A. Nation is, there's an interesting history there. Carrie A. Nation started the temperance movement, and she had a little hatchet that she would go, her and a bunch of ladies in petticoats would go into a saloon and bust up all the bottles and break all the barrels. And then they go into a distillery and they'd hatchet up all the stills. They started the prohibition problem that we're in right now. What's really funny is in Belton, Missouri, that's where Carrie A. Nation is from, and she's buried here. You
Wow.
know, there's a lot of history and a lot of heritage that's overlooked about why we are all in this boat together today. And I think that history is really important. And the more we talk about it and the more we as a community and express that this is our right, the closer we get to being able to distill legally, and the more of us there will be. So I'm constantly trying to turn people into being a new moonshiner. So that's
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. That we talk about that all the time. We talked about that guy that was bashing the old heads on TikTok, and I mean he's a young kid, and but we all reached out to him. I don't mean to say all of us, but there's a handful of us that tried to reach out to him and let him know, dude, we're here to help, man. why
Right.
why are you over there bashing us because we know what we know, just because we use expensive stills and you're over there on a Beaver. There's nothing wrong with a Beaver, but we're trying to teach you stuff, man. And but so that's what I love about the moonshine community. Like what you're saying, we all come together, and as we get bigger and bigger and grow, I think it's going to come across that home distilling's not that big of a deal as far as
Well,
law.
this guy he's kind of, just a bad actor. And that's what's the great thing about this community is, like I've told Jason earlier, this community doesn't let one bad apple ruin the bunch.
Right.
We sort them out, and we move on. And I reached out to this guy 3 months ago when I saw his Vivor still videos, and I liked his content, and I was like, "You're awesome. You're making moonshine." I was a copper still builder looking at a Vivor guy saying, "You're awesome." And if you ever want a copper still, here's 30% off in the future. Anytime you want it, come get it. And that's what the community's about. It's not tearing people's names down so you can be a Chinese wholesale reseller. You know, it's
That's kind of what I was
it's about saying, "Hey, you're doing cool things. Let me help you."
Yeah,
You know.
let me help you make your product better because some of
Yeah.
those videos I watched some of his videos on TikTok, and some of those videos it was clear to me that he didn't know how to make a mash, and not a proper mash, I should say. I think one of his mash bills was 20 pounds of frozen corn and 100 pounds of sugar and a 15-gallon wash. It's like, what? Wait,
There's no
none of
yeast on
those
earth.
noodles aren't even going to ferment.
Yeah.
So, but I did. I reached out to him. I said, dude, we're all here wanting to help, and we want to help you to be a better moonshiner. We like moonshiners. We're all moonshiners. We want to help the community grow and do better. And there's I watched one of his videos. He's demonstrating his still, his beaver still looked like a 5-gallon pot still on the stove. It's a little bitty worm. It couldn't have been a gallon. It couldn't have been even a gallon. And he's showing the worm for as far as the entry for the water and the exit for the water. He had it backwards. It's like, no, dude.
Oh
No,
man.
no.
Yeah.
So, but he could learn a lot from us. Instead, he just knows it all. And you know what? But I've said this too, Derek. I've said this too. When I first started making moonshine, the first time I made it, I was, hey, this shit gets me drunk. I'm a moonshiner. Look at me, woo! And I don't want to say I wasn't trainable or learnable. I won't say that at all. But I thought I knew my shit when I didn't know nothing. Man, I found out later that moonshine I made, it was shit, man. It was
Right.
bad. It was real bad.
Yeah. I sent that video to my older brother, not the whole world. My first I made moonshine video. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
kind of the difference that's going on here.
right. Big time. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Plus, I think he mostly did that. I mean, you look at what he got, and the man just started off. He's brand new. He's already got 16,000 followers by the comments he made and the videos he made.
Well,
So
the other thing is you can buy those followers. TikTok
right. That's
TikTok
true
sells
too.
followers too.
That's true. Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, nobody who's following 10 people has 26,000 followers
Right.
without buying those followers. So
True
that's
that.
that's just how it is. You look at my page. I follow everybody who follows me, and then some. And that's really what it should be about. So like
Yep.
it's be a part of the community. Don't be an observer of the community. Don't try to be above the community,
Exactly.
you know.
I've been recently starting to follow a lot of bourbon people on TikTok, and it's cool because I get a lot of bad comments. Oh, moonshine! Oh God, what are you doing in here? It's like, where do you think the bourbon started as? Come on. But
Exactly.
you know, I just find it fun, but it's also fun for me to go in there and educate people a little bit, and then they start to understand their flavors and stuff like that. Then why it come out the way it did, yada yada. So it's a new venture for me going into the bourbon world. I like bourbons, but it's fun talking to bourbon people that think they know it all and how it became bourbon and all that. So,
Yeah, I
well,
get it.
Derek, I want to ask you, where can folks find you, follow you, or order custom builds?
You can find me on TikTok at Copper Moon Still Company and on Facebook. Look at the Copper Moon Still Company page. I got a new page going for Kansas and Missouri. It's called Border Wars Distilling Club. You can check that out. And I'm at coppermoonstill.com. And you can look on there, find my stills, different packages. I will say, anytime you're ever looking to buy a copper still, I have to have a price tag on an item, right? For a website. So that's the price tag. My phone number is right there. Call me, text me, tell me what moonshine groups you follow, tell me who you know, tell me what you're interested in making. The price tag is not always the price. And I know price tags on a copper still can be intimidating, but we're out here in a kind of a black market situation. I'm wheeling and dealing. Call me.
Wheeling
Well,
and
yeah.
dealing.
Call me. We'll talk about what the price really could be. And if you don't need an element, hey, you just saved $50. If just like that. If you don't
Hey,
need shipping, you just saved $300, whatever.
Derek, that
So
being said, sir, I keep interrupting you, and I apologize.
you're good.
But that being said, heating elements. Come on, you know where I'm going with this. Shine on
Well,
controllers.
yeah, Shine on controllers.
Jason
Jason
Acosta.
Acosta.
And I use two of them. I love them. Absolutely love them. If you guys are looking for a new heating element, these things work great. Hit up
Hmm.
Copper Moon. He's got them. I know you got them, right?
Right. So
And
if you look at my shop, Jason Acosta Shine On controllers are in my shop. So uh, Jason's a great guy. He's become a good buddy, a good brother in moonshining for me, and I support him 100%. And I do promote. There's a link in my shop if you want to buy a controller. Those are the only controllers I sell. They're Shine On controllers. They're
I
amazing.
love
You can get those in 140 and 120 and 240. You can get them in duals. He'll hook it up however you want it hooked up. If you need three plugins on one controller, he'll make it work. So
Absolutely, and I hope Jason's still in here. But if not, Jason, love you, brother. Think of me as a brother, big time. He's helped me out in a lot of ways. I have to tell you that this pot I got from North Georgia a long time ago. I've had it for years, and I'm still using their heating elements. Their whole 9 yards that came with the kit, right?
right.
And I had a couple of heating elements go out on me. I'm freaking out. I'm middle of a run. They go blip. I was like, shit. I had to stop, drain the pot, fix the elements. But it's happened twice in the last couple of months. So I was like, well, damn it. He's going to send me a couple of new heating elements. They just burn out. They just wear out after a while. So it's part of the nature of the beast, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think you were his first customer.
Yeah, I was. And I enticed him to, he's in here. Um, I enticed him to go, dude. These controllers are legit. You need to go legit. You need to start selling these things on a full time basis, man. And I'm glad he did. I'm glad he took my advice. He's doing it because he's doing a great job. And Jason's great people.
Yeah, me and Jason are talking about. Sorry if it's too early, buddy. I'm gonna spill the beans. We're gonna start doing a keg still copper mishmash. So he's gonna work on the keg and the controller, and so it'll come with the control box element and the keg still, and I'll do either a column or a bubble cap go into a sealed worm. So
Well,
I've never done a stainless setup. This way, we're gonna have a stainless setup in my shop, and it's gonna be a collaboration between Shine On Controllers and Copper Moon Still Company. So
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Hey, you guys heard it here first on, on Two Uncles in a Jar. But that's awesome, and I'm really happy for you guys. I'll promote you guys any way I can. I know Joey will feel the same way. Whatever we can do to help promote you guys, absolutely.
well,
Um,
thank you.
let's see. Trying to catch up on these
Yeah, we
comments.
got some comments here.
Yeah, Richard says so. If you need just a pot, then holler at them. Yeah. uh, Richard says awesome interview, fellas. Actually, I don't think I have 500. I'm good with it. No, I think that came from Richard. Yeah. I'm going backwards here. I apologize. Jason says I love Derek. Turn the negative into a positive with his contest. Hell yeah, absolutely, buddy. That did. It really did. Let's turn that
Yeah.
around, and you did, Derek. We appreciate that, buddy. Um, let's see. GW Reynolds, nice hat. Well, thanks. Appreciate that. I get a lot of compliments on this hat. You know, there was one point I was offered $800 for this hat.
Really
I was a fool for offering it. I was a fool for turning it down.
nice. Yeah.
It's all good. Jason says, checked out Keg Stills with Hubba Bubba Cap. Dude, I love these Hubba Bubba caps, and I reached out to you earlier about doing a special build for me. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with a Hubba Bubba.
Oh, it's a bubble bubba, but yeah, they're awesome.
I said
Yeah.
Hubba Bubba, but yeah, I've had a few shots. Give me a break.
Oh, the best part about it is you're stripping without stripping flavor, right? Because your lighter alcohol molecules, they go right out the system, while your heavier molecules fall back into the pot where all the flavor is, and it rebonds to esters and things that are in that pot
I,
from the mash.
I never knew that before until last year. I hung out when we went to Ozark, Cyrus Mason's thing there. I hung out with Wayne, Ozark Steelworks. And we did a run together, and he showed that to me, and he was explaining that to me, and it never clicked before until he showed it to me and explained it to me, and it made total sense. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It's the best way to get a higher proof without stripping out your flavor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a sweet potato run. Man, that thing came out really good. It came out real good.
Do you mind? Maybe there's people here who have heard us talking about the competition. Maybe they don't know exactly what it is. You mind if I
Oh,
talk about it?
no, please. In fact, I meant to play that video, but go ahead. How about it,
Okay.
sir?
So we're having a shine off. And this is the first ever Copper Moon Steel Company shine off. I don't know if anybody's ever done this before. Honestly, it's a little risky, but hey, we're doing it. The
Hey.
address is out there, for the FTA and for all of you. So, or the ATF and all of you. So the deal is, if you send me a quart of white dog, just clear, of 60% corn, 20% rye, 10% wheat, and 10% malted barley, you're in the running to win a still. I'm going to let the winner pick what still they want between a 15-gallon standard set and or a 10-gallon Moonlighter set. And you can go to coppermoonstill.com and look at the difference between a standard set and a Moonlighter set. But basically, the Moonlighter has a conical lane arm coming off the whiskey cap, and it has a 3-inch sight glass installed on it. That's pretty much the only difference. So the winner can pick between those two. You have to send, now, as far as the whiskey goes, you have to stick to that mash bill: 60% corn, 20% rye, 10% wheat, 10% barley. Stick to that mash bill, no sugar. Add whatever enzymes, whatever yeast, whatever you want. You can malt the corn, I don't care. But as long as you send me a quart of that by June 15th, you're in the competition. There's going to be a panel of 3 judges: myself, a distillery owner from here in town, a guy named JD Evans who helps me teach my distilling classes, and we're going to do a blind tasting of each jar. We're going to base it off of a criteria, and at the end of all the tasting, there's probably going to be a few different levels of tasting as we narrow it down. But at the end of the tasting, we'll figure out which jar is the best, and then we'll figure out whose jar that is, and that's the winner. We'll announce the winner live on the 25th of June, and I will try to get the still out to the recipient by the 4th of July. That's the whole deal.
Hey, that being said, sir, if you want to do it live, if you want to do it on the podcast here, you're more than welcome to do it here. We'll set it up, make it happen. Or if you got your own thing, you just want to do it on Facebook, totally get it. That's all good too. But I just want to give you the opportunity.
This started on TikTok, so I think I'm gonna
Okay.
do the
Yeah,
live on TikTok.
absolutely. Yeah.
But another thing that is really cool about this is I'm gonna take all the jars. I've got a lot of jars coming. I already know. you know, I'm gonna take all the jars, and we're gonna make a moonshine community infinity barrel out of this mash that everybody's doing. It's going to be a barrel that's all hearts. We know everybody's going to send in their best jar, right?
Yeah,
So
really.
yeah, and
Well,
then
some
we're
will.
going to try to get that barrel down to a Maggie Valley event, so everybody who contributed, who goes to the Maggie Valley, can taste that.
Hell yeah, dude, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted to add to that. It's your maybe and you're running with it, but like it came up in the comments too. You're gonna end up with so many damn quarts.
yeah,
It's gonna be like a 3 or 4 day tasting. You're gonna have to take a day and weed these out. Okay, these are gone. These are in, kind of thing. Because I know when we did that competition at Arkansas at Fort Smith with Cyrus Mason, we had 17 entries and we went through them all in one night.
yeah.
We all left there so shit faced. It wasn't even funny, man.
So that's why we're kind of doing the criteria.
Yeah.
So like these guys can come by and as they can, and we'll each have our little check marks, and whoever kind of scores the highest gets
Right.
into the next round of judging, and then we'll do it again and then again until we
That's
really
kind of
narrow
what
it down.
Cyrus did. They did the same thing. They did their notes on what they liked, what they disliked, and so forth. And then they compare notes at the end, and that's how they come up with a winner. Me.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is a lot of fun, and it's really good for the community. Obviously, it's got a huge, really positive response from the community, which has been really cool. I've got moonshiners from Canada wanting in. I've got people who actually own distilleries wanting in. It's awesome, you know.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's
and
cool as shit.
I told the distillery owners, I said, if you do it on something 20 gallons or less by yourself, and you don't tell the government about it, so it's actually moonshine,
Moonshine.
then yeah, then you're in. So
Yeah, that's cool as shit. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you can run a distillery and yeah, come on.
yeah, Jason
uh,
wants to pick the 10 gallons when he wins.
I was just getting ready to read that. That's cool. um, Getting back on the comments, Richard says nice. Jason says tricked out cakes. Yeah, I read that already. Frank Thompson, apple rye. Damn it, man. That sounds good. I missed the comment Apple Rye said. Frank says, stop by and say hello, everybody. Thanks for stopping by, Frank.
Thanks for stopping it.
He says, hey, brother, I got a clear pina colada with my last run of pineapple rum. Dude, that sounds good. I like a rum. I like a rum.
That
That's
sounds good.
one of the first hard liquors I drank was rum. I drank rum forever, for a long time when I was younger. Man, you're going to need a few days for those tastings. Yeah, I can see that coming. I'd like to be a part of that, but you know, hey, it's all good.
You can come out here, Uncle.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. That's my home state, man. I miss my home state. I do. But then Richard says, so be on your cut game, fellows and ladies. Hell yeah, you better be on those cuts tight.
Yeah. Don't send me a
I was
jar of
gonna
heads,
be
please.
judges. If I smell hands right off the bat, you get it out of here.
Yeah, probably. I don't want to be that guy, but yeah, probably.
Well, you're gonna have to, 'cause honestly, dude, the response that you've had, you're gonna get a lot of that. You are,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah, you don't
okay.
have to taste everything. You can smell
No,
it and know.
yeah, as soon as you smell it, you smell heads. That it's gone. Take this
Yeah.
one. We're not putting that one in the barrel.
Yeah, we'll just put that one over here.
Yeah, use that as a lawnmower starter, or barbecue starter, whatever.
Yeah, I do a lot of bonfires over here. So,
Yeah.
and we'll have some blue bonfires one night.
Well, I got a rapid fire question for you, uh, Derek. So I'm gonna throw these out at you. I got 10 of them. I want to run at you before we close this up tonight. Pot still or column still? Which one has your heart?
Pot still,
I figured that.
you know, I'm a corn liquor fan. I'll build a column, absolutely, but I don't like strip and flavor. That's for me, for what I'm always mashing. That's the point of the still that I'm running, you know. So
Exactly.
I want that good corn flavor. I want those good esters in there. I'm gonna go pot still every time.
That being said, I get a lot and a lot. Man, I'm so over this argument because people know that I make potato shine. They automatically say, "Oh, you make vodka." No, I don't.
Yeah,
I run a pot still. I
little
don't run
pot
it to
still.
180. Oh, I'm sorry. And I tell people because they want to argue with me about it. So I tell them, look, go to Jameson's website. You'll see they sell a potato whiskey in the story. Just go check it out. Anyway, so favorite spirit to run on a fresh build.
Hmm. Probably if it's a brand new build, I'm probably gonna run a sugar shine, just so if the cleaning runs didn't come out good, the sugar shine, I'll be able to tell,
Yep,
and I didn't waste a whole lot of money.
I do the same thing. Thank you. I do exactly the same way. Copper polish necessary ritual or unnecessary chore?
It's up to the still owner. Some still owners, it's the still is a part of their aesthetic. That's why I build them so pretty. So they want to polish it up, and that's fine. Use Wright's copper cream and then use a metal polish after that to get that good shine in it. But a lot of people, like myself, my still is not polished. I know Voodoo, his still is patinaed already.
Oh
And
yeah,
for me, that's a beautiful thing, because that's a lot of days of hard work making that patina happen. So
yeah. That's a lot of years right there.
yeah. And as far as it goes, I'll just throw this out there as some information. You do not have to clean your still every time you run it. It's
No,
like a
thank you.
rinse it out, make sure you get it dry enough. You don't want a pool of water sitting in the bottom, but rinse it out, turn it upside down. It should be like a barbecue smoker.
Exactly.
You don't scrub your barbecue smoker back down to bare metal every time you use it. You want some of that flavor on there.
Exactly, and that's been another issue come up in a lot of conversations. A lot of guys clean it right after. Well, if you do that, especially on a copper pot, dude, you're stripping that copper. Guess what?
Right.
you know, no, you want to, especially if you're doing the same kind of mash bill every time. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't do that. I say
Um,
every 15 runs because sulfates bond to the copper and you want to rejuvenate the copper so that the sulfates can bond to fresh copper. I mean,
exactly.
but other than that, it's not that big of a deal.
Derek, that you said that. Amanda Bryant said that a couple of weeks ago. Same thing. Exactly same thing. So thanks for sharing that, buddy.
I'm a big fan of hers.
Oh man, me too. Her and I are pretty tight. I like Amanda. She's awesome.
I'm trying to get her to come up here. Somebody keeps messaging me on Messenger saying they know her and trying to get her up here in this area for a class and if they can hold it here. And it has to be a distillery. So a buddy of mine's opening a distillery here in Harrisonville in 6 weeks. And after that's open, then I'm gonna say, hey, if you're serious, we got a distillery that wants to do it, you know?
Well, yeah,
So
that'd be awesome.
yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Be
I'd
yeah,
make
be a
a trip
dream
for
come
that.
true to actually meet a master distiller in person. I have yet to meet a master distiller in person.
Dude, you
So
got to come to some of these festivals.
I know I
Uh,
don't get out much.
we got to get you to
I'm
Maggie Valley this year and set up. You got to set up and
yeah,
show your stills off and show who you are. And dude, I think it'll be a big hit. I really do.
it'd be awesome. Yeah, that's the plan. Get that infinity barrel, take it to Maggie Valley.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Well, the way things are going at Maggie Valley here lately, what I'm hearing about the regulations of the law, it might not be a good idea to take that barrel, but who
Oh,
knows?
that's too bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting tighter and tougher, and it's deferring a lot of people from going there, and it's frustrating because I don't think the town realizes how much revenue that moonshine festival brings to that town.
I got
And
enough land here. Let's have a festival here.
there you
It's
go.
moonshine's legal in Missouri. Bring it.
I
Come
love
on.
it. Hell
Let's
yeah.
do it.
Troy's right there in Missouri with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hell yeah, that'd be great. I know they did one a year ago, a moonshine festival there in Missouri, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, there's one down in Branson.
Yeah.
I'm just south of Kansas City, so you guys can when you come here to visit, you can stop and get some good barbecue too.
Hell yeah, the best barbecue in town, Jack Stack. Oh my god, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh my
yeah.
god, Jack
I
Stack.
worked there when I was a teenager. I ate burn ends every day.
Oh my god. You get their ribs. There's a plate of ribs for $25. Probably more than that now, but
Yeah, probably more than that now.
dude, these ribs, I swear they're like this. One rib,
Oh, okay.
you'll get about four of them on a plate,
That's
and
the Crown Prime beef rib. It's
yes,
the same
yes.
cut of meat as prime rib,
Oh my
but they
god,
smoke it barbecue style. It's fall off the bone. It's amazing.
dude, you pick up that bone, it just goes blop right on the plate. It's like
Yep.
that
Tendonism.
bone is clean as could be. And I'll tell you what, when you take a bite, it just melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
And man, I love Jack Stack. Oh my god, I love that place. Let me get back to these
I'm gonna
questions.
have to send you some Jack Stack, Uncle Moonshine.
Oh man, dude. In fact, they have a website. You can order it and have it delivered to your house in dry ice, and they send the recipe on how to prepare it and cook it.
Yeah. I used to I lived far away from here for a while, and I used to get those care packages from Jack Stack sent to me all the time
Oh
because there
man.
was no good barbecue where I was at.
Oh my god. It's absolutely the best I've ever had in my life. When I moved to Florida, I was taken to a couple of barbecue places. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly.
But yeah. Um, so next rapid fire question, like it's rapid fire, right? What upgrade every distiller should splurge on? What's the one upgrade every distiller should splurge on?
When you're buying from me, it should be the mash recirculation pump. Not only are you going to heat your mash more evenly, It's going to happen faster because you're heating it more evenly. You're never going to scorch,
You'll never.
right? Because it's spraying mash, it's pulling mash from one direction and spraying it in another direction right on the element, so nothing can settle on the element. No matter how well you strain your mash, there's always going to be a certain level of grist. And
So
at
that.
exactly 120 degrees, that grist goes from being this haziness in all of your mash and falls straight to the bottom. And it creates this cloud layer about this thick. And it's all down there right on your element.
Right on
So
the.
yeah, just that. Um, and
So that
then,
sensor, you do provide that. So let everybody know if they want to add that to the still that they're looking to get built. What's the cost of doing that?
well, that's the great thing. Like, if you get one of these big prop agitators, I mean, if you bought that straight from the distributor, I think it's 350 or $400. And then whoever's building your still has to buy it, ship it to them, add it to yours. I mean, you're gonna get charged $800 just
Right.
for that.
Easy,
With
easy.
easy. With mine, it's $160. It's a pump. It's a wort pump. It's for brewing, a brewing pump. It takes hot wort in. It's just fine. And 160 bucks, I'll hook that up to your still, no
Damn, you
problem.
beat
You're
that.
saving a lot of money.
That's
The
going
other
on.
part that I really love on a still is the infusion injection port. Because, back in the day, people were stuffing their thumb kegs. That's why we got fruit ports on thumb kegs these days. You
Right.
want to be able to put, some fruit into your thumb keg and flavor your mash, or maybe even some corn into your thumb keg and up that corn flavor in your liquor. Um, but your heads and your foreshot would come through and strip out all the sugar, all the flavor, and then your hearts are just kind of getting what's left over. With this, you're dumping purees right on your hearts. So the best cut of your run gets all the flavor. But the other thing about it is I take my heads and my tails, and after my entire run's done and my still is still hot, I'll dump that back into my thump keg through my infusion injector, and it'll just cycle those jars right back out. So it'll spit them out another round distilled a lot cleaner.
All right.
So it's a really great way to get all that you can out of a run.
Wow.
So,
I
yeah.
like that idea. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I I know when I do the infusion, I got it set up to where I'll add it into my thumper in the beginning. And you're right. You're running those heads through that. So when I get into my hearts, I'll drain a lot of that out of my thumper and then use my infuser to add fresh when I'm into my hearts.
Yeah.
And then I'll do that two or three times while I'm in my hearts, add fresh into it. And like something that you pointed out, we haven't talked about tonight on the podcast, but your thumpers are of size. A lot of these thumpers that come out today are undersized. And
Right.
something that I learned a long time ago when I first started this, you want your thumper one third of the size of your pot. Am I not correct?
You know, that is a good rule, and I adhere to that rule exactly. So if you buy a 15-gallon thump keg, you get a 5 gallon. I'm sorry, if you buy a 15-gallon system, you get a 5 gallon thump keg with yours.
You're good.
And
Yeah.
if you get a 50-gallon system, you get a 17-gallon thump keg, and it just goes up to one third as you expand. So your system grows.
Right.
The benefit of that is if you buy a 15-gallon, or sorry, if you buy a 50-gallon, you have a 17-gallon thump keg, and you want to run a small batch, you can put all your mash
Yep.
into the 17-gallon and run it as a steam injected still,
Yep.
and just do it like that. So you have an experimentation still for small batches, and then you have your big still to run it all the way through. You know, the other thing is the vapor exchange. So with I'm not gonna name names. There's still builder out there that, anyway, I have seen stills come through my shop. It's a 20-gallon pot and a 1 gallon thump keg.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So every time you run that still, it pukes. It's
Yeah.
never been able to
I
run,
guarantee it's
right? I've seen stills come through my shop that's a 15-gallon still with a 5/8 inch, line arm piping throughout the entire system. If you get enough foam, let's say the person distilling decided to put caramel in their mash. Caramel is good for head retention in beer, so it makes your mash really foamy. And you run that, and all that foam gets down in that tiny pipe. Well, then you've got a problem where your pipe is building pressure in your system, and you never want to be able to build pressure in your system.
Right.
Is you can pop your system. You don't want to do that around pets and small children, so it's a safety thing.
That being said, you do add the release valves on each of your stills, correct? Both
Yeah,
times.
my stills come with a pressure relief valve. So you're shutting it down. All you have to do is open a ball valve and it releases all the pressure. It also comes with a vacuum breaker. Let's just say you walked away from your still for a minute and your breaker blew out. If you didn't catch that in time, you would get a negative pressure into your system and your still would crush like a soda can, and it's full. It's going to spray boiling water everywhere, boiling mash everywhere. That's not good. So the vacuum breaker releases pressure automatically after 15 pounds of negative pressure comes into the system. So it will never crush like a can. So,
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely great. I'm glad to hear that. In the beginning, there was only one release valve, so now they're adding both. A lot of people are, and I'm glad to see that. That's awesome. I know we've seen in the moonshine community where there's been a couple of people that caught their stills on fire because they did walk away.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to do that. Uh, Please don't walk away from your still. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's a little easier to take a 4 minute break from your electric still than if you're running propane.
Oh my
But
God.
still, I mean, this is a hobby of babysitting. I like to set up my smoker and smoke
Yep.
some meat when I'm running a still. So I'll go over there and check on that for 3 minutes and come back and look at my still.
There you go. There you go. So another rapid fire question I wanted to ask was, worst mistake you've seen a beginner make?
I think I already said it.
I thought, oh,
Yeah, had that old boy putting cornmeal and sugar in his mash and nothing else, and not converting his starches into sugars. You
yeah,
know,
they got
that's
to,
okay. That's a beginner mistake, but he was doing it for 20 years.
yeah.
And
And that comes along with like what we say is, and that's a big part of this community is we all get together, we all join these groups, we all go to these podcasts, and we learn, and that's a big part of it. The guy was probably making it for 20 years, never did any research, never conversed with other people that do moonshine, so he was just doing what he knew, you know.
exactly. Yep.
So yeah, that's a big part of this, and that's why we do what we do.
So I guess the biggest mistake is not reaching out to a community, not joining a community, not talking to fellow moonshiners about what you're doing and how you're doing it and what they're doing and how they're doing it.
And
I
not
mean,
listening to the old heads.
yeah. So the biggest mistake you can make is thinking you know everything for
Yeah,
20 years and never asking a question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's huge. It's really big.
I
Uh,
learn something new every day. Jason Acosta teaches me something new every time I go into a live with him.
every day, and a lot of us talk about that all the time. How we learn something new every day, and it's awesome. I love it. I love learning, and so yeah, that's a big part of it. That's what keeps my interest going on this whole thing. Not only do I love making moonshine, but I keep learning new stuff when I try it and put it to practice. And guess what? It works. I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. All right, what's the most beautiful part of a still? The curves or the shine?
It's the shine, you know. I I kind of have a thought in my head where us still builders, we're like the samurai that made the sword, but we're doing it for a reason. And the reason at the end of the day is to see that liquor drip out of that worm,
Oh
you
yeah,
know? And
dude.
so,
I talk about that a lot, Derek. Where it, from day one, the first time I did a run to now, when you first smell that ethanol come out of that worm before it even drips, it's like, ah, here it comes.
yeah, you can smell it, you
Yeah,
know?
it to me that's the biggest highlight of doing any run. It really is.
Yeah. And, as a distiller, when somebody comes to me and they say, what still should I get? And I say, how much reward do you want at the end of the day? You're putting in all this work. How much reward do you want at the end of the day? So that's the prize, right? And so everybody always wants the prize.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be the most important aspect. And it's the thing that you share with your friends, you share with your family. And that's why we do it. We don't do it so we can sit in our room alone and drink it. We do it so we can share it with our friends and our family and our community. And
Unless you're right, Daddy. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I had to rib on him because he was ribbing on me earlier. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. We want to share it. We want to share our experience. We want to share our knowledge in the product that we put out. Absolutely.
And the heritage, it comes from a beautiful heritage,
Absolutely.
and we're all a part of it still.
So, that being said, it wasn't part of my questions, but it brings up a question now so is it part of your heritage? Have you had family in the moonshine?
I still do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. So it
Yeah.
comes down from a long arm or many generations or just recently or what?
I think it's hit and miss. We're all from South Texas, Ozark area, Buffalo, stuff like that. And I've got uncles and cousins that do it here and there. And I think it's just kind of something that I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it just seems really common and average to me. Um, but yeah, it's something that's
I
always
think
been there.
I think a lot of it comes. This is where it comes from me. I had a great uncle that did it years ago, and nobody in my family that I know of ever did it before him or during that period, growing up, whatever. And then I got into it, and I realized he did it, and it even struck my interest even more. And I think it's not as far as the bloodline as much as it is as interest. You know, um, a lot of people see their family members do it and been doing it or whatever, but they got knowledge from it. From that, they had an interest from it, but it all comes from an interest.
Right.
But it does.
But
Oh, it's in my blood. You know.
when you pick up distilling, maybe you're doing it for a hobby, maybe you're doing it because you want liquor cheaper. When you pick it up, you're picking up where another part of the heritage left off. You're carrying that torch, and you're bringing it into the future.
Absolutely.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're making moonshine, you're a part of this now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah. So whether or not you have ancestors in it or don't, which is really cool if you do,
Absolutely.
um, but yeah, if you're in it, you're in it today. You're a part of it, and it's
Do
been
you see
going
that,
on since
Jerry?
1928. Yeah.
The
So
biggest part for me when I first started, I got a recipe online to make potato shine, and that's when I started. I was into it probably 4 years, and I found out that my great uncle made moonshine, and I found an old recipe card
hey, Matthias,
that that's what he used. He used potatoes, so I carried on the tradition using potatoes.
well, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. When I found
Yeah.
out that's what he made was potato shine, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" He's one of my favorite uncles. So the next question I have for you is: if you could build a still for any historical figure, who gets it?
That's a really interesting question, and you know, for me, what pops into my head automatically is George Washington, because George Washington had a famous style of still. He had multiple boilers hooked up to one central thump keg, and it's the George Washington style. So it's an amazing system.
Right.
And I wonder what he would think of a pot still today. You
Right.
know,
I thought of that same thing because it comes up a lot, and uh, he was a founder. I don't want to say the founder, but a founder, especially in America. Um, Especially being the figure he was. He's the president of the United States. He made moonshine. It's like,
right?
really? And so, yeah, I would love to know his opinion on moonshining today. Dude, that would be, I'd love to see his reaction.
Right. Well, it wasn't moonshine back then. It was just
Right,
there wasn't a tax at the time.
right.
And the first tax in the US was a whiskey tax.
Yeah,
And before that, it was unregulated and untaxed. But yeah, going back to those days, and getting somebody from that time period who knew about distilling, you know That would be my interest.
Gotcha.
Another thing is there's so many. There used to be like a community distillery. Each county would have a distillery, and you could send off a certain amount of your grains to be mashed and distilled, and then they would send it back to you however you want it. Um, the first recipe for bourbon was asking that a corn and barley recipe be mashed and distilled and put into oak barrels that had been charred. So I think, even though there's not a name to the face on this one, finding somebody who owned that community distillery way back in the 1800s, late 1700s, that would be my second choice. Not knowing who that person is specifically, but somebody from history who knew about distilling. I would love to see the look on their face when they saw the stills that we're running today and how we're doing it.
Yep, I agree. I just got a message from Joey. I just let him know where to get the link. So, Joey, we're about to end this. So, but if you want to pop in, say hello, and say hey to Derek. I said Eric. Derek. Love to have you in for the last little bit of it. So, next question I have for you, Derek, is thumper essential or optional?
I mean, it is optional. It's not like you couldn't run liquor without it. All of my systems come so you can take off the thump keg and hook the worm up to the boiler directly. So it's all fitted to be just right for that. Uh, but I like a thump keg.
Yeah,
It's a second round of distilling.
yeah.
If you're not running a thump keg, you definitely need to do a spirit run. So
And
with
for the first 5 years I ran, that's how I did it. I didn't have a thump keg. I had a little pot, 5 gallon pot still. I had to rerun it 3 times.
right,
That was it. But and to add to that, that's where the 3X's on moonshine come from. It got distilled 3 times. So
yeah,
distilling it with the thumper, you've already distilled it twice.
exactly. If you want to do it again, just take the thumper off and
And but I will say this about that, Derek. If you're doing a brandy, which I love brandy. Oh my god, I love brandy. If it's
love
blackberry,
brandy.
dude, oh my god, Derek, I got to do a blackberry run this summer, and I'll be more than happy to share it with you. I did it a couple years ago, and oh my god,
I'd love that.
um, you. I personally like to go without the thumper. You can add the thumper and add blackberry to the thumper, and you're going to get the same result, but and possibly a better result. But most brandies you want to use without a thumper. That's
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot of flavoring that you can do. Like I macerate a lot of fruit when I'm running a brandy, and then I'll inject that while I'm running it. So I like to have the thumper. That way I get a good fruit flavor. My
Yeah,
favorite brandy is blueberries and cane sugar. Honestly, it's more of a rum than a brandy, but it is what it
yeah,
is.
you're right. It's
Um,
a sugar. Um, that brings up another question I want to ask because to me, you seem very knowledgeable about all this. And one of my go-to guys is very knowledgeable. I swear up and down about this guy. I say that he's the encyclopedia of moonshine. Moonshine Shua.
sure.
Shua. And he says anytime you run a sugar, it's rum.
Yeah.
So, and I can't argue with that. I can't. And I won't.
It's-
But at
Yeah.
the same time, most of our and almost all of our mash bills are made with sugar. So it's like,
Yeah. I step it up a little bit. Like I'll check my refractometer while I'm making a brandy, a rum brandy. You know,
there you
so I
go.
know exactly where I'm going with the sugar content, my bricks content. So I can check my mash while it's hot and see exactly where my bricks is. And if I need to add more sugar to get it where I want to be, I
Right.
still can.
Exactly.
N-
And that's kind
Now,
of the whole point.
now when I'm running that blueberry recipe, let's say the yeast that I am using gets up to 15%. What I always do is I'll get it up to
Yep.
17 on the bricks. So there's extra sugar in there. And when I tell you I run that and I'm injecting it at the same time, it
Wow.
comes out tasting like blueberry Laffy Taffy.
Wow.
Has the same sweetness, the same flavor, the same smell. It's amazing. So,
Now, when I did the blackberry, I did nothing but blackberry. I didn't use any sugar, and my ABV on it was 11, and I ran it like that. And it's 100%, dude. When you drink it, all you taste is blackberry, and I love it, absolutely love it. And I don't get a, but to get more uh, out of it, yeah, I could have added the sugar and got more out of it, but I didn't. I wanted to do just blackberry.
yeah, you get a good flavor from that blackberry wine.
Yeah. But I'll also say this: when it comes to fermentation, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it does take a while.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
takes.
you definitely have to give fruit more time.
All right, next
Yeah.
question I got for you. Thumper is. Oh, I already asked you that one. Favorite moment: first spark of the torch or first drip off the worm?
They're both such a passion of mine. It's really hard, building a still for me is just something that I never wanted to end. You know, if distilling went away for me, um, that would be okay as long as I was making more distillers and building more stills to make more distillers out there. As long as this heritage lives on, I'm happy, and as long as I'm contributing to it, I'm happy. So I would say building the still is more important for me at this point.
All right. For
Yeah.
me, it's the drip off the worm. So yeah, when I first hit that electric shine on controller, turned it on, that's nothing for me. It's like, okay, it's on. I got a couple hours. But when I
Yeah.
drip, it's like, here we go, baby. Here we go.
The point of it is we want that drip, but I want that drip for somebody else. I want everybody to have that same experience of being able to carry on this heritage,
Wait a
do
minute.
something where they're making something themselves and getting a good reward out of it. And everybody needs a hobby, and I think this is a beautiful hobby to have. So,
You'll absolutely love it. When I first got into it, a buddy of mine reached out to me. He made beer, and he made a good beer, really good beer. It's awesome. Wow, I love that beer. He called it Hog beer, because he was a Harley rider, and he tried to get me to start into the beer, and I looked into it, and he gave me his recipe, and I looked into it. I started researching what all I needed to make beer, all the contents and everything to make it. I was like, well, god damn, that's pretty expensive. I said, well, shit, I like whiskey more than I like beer, so what would it cost me to make whiskey? I found me a 400-gallon pot still. That's where I went.
damn.
I got that out. I can't remember the actual name of the place, but they're out of Texas. And I got it because somebody, it was normally 500 new, but somebody's wife didn't want him to have it, so he returned it, and it was for sale for 400.
Yeah. Beer brewing is expensive though. I used to be a big beer brewer, and I mean, every time you brew beer, it's something else. It's like, okay, I need a new fermenter because I got a sour yeast infection, or I had some sort of lacto infection. Now I got to clean all my lines or replace them, and then I got to get bottles to bottle everything in, or I got to buy a keg system and start filling my own kegs, and then I need a kegerator to, you know,
Exactly.
beer
Wow.
beer beer brewing always has another cost. With distilling, it's like you make your initial purchases, and then all you have to buy after that is grain and mason jars.
Yep, mason jars. A lot of mason jars.
That's right.
That and like if you have a still as long as I have, you got to replace parts once in a while. It's all good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, my brother got into the beer making, and he got into it pretty heavy, and yeah, he was like, "Man, this shit's
Yeast.
expensive." So when I told him about distilling, he got to looking into it. He's like, "Yeah, I think I want to start distilling."
Yeah, it's definitely fun. And, same thing. I mean, I was a beer brewer for years, and every time I got a lactobacillus infection, that beer's done. You can't bottle it and
Right, right.
save it. So
But for
for me, it
distilling, it's
was,
a good thing.
yeah, I was always like, I wish I had a still to run this beer on so I could save the alcohol from it. So it was always the logical next step.
Well, sir, the last question I have for you: if Copper Moon had a slogan in 5 words or less, what would it be? Go.
Don't just get a still, get your still. I know that's probably more than 5 words, but
No,
yeah,
I love that, and you're right. Because of what you've talked about tonight, and the way you do your stills, people call you, want a still, they're getting their still, not just a still.
that's right.
I could call anybody. I could go on Amazon or whatever and get a still, but I want my still.
Right.
And you and I've talked. You're gonna end up building me a personal still. So yeah, it's my still. So yeah, I love that. I love that slogan.
Yeah,
That's
people call me with special requests all the time. I want it to fit here. I want it to be looking like this. It's like, yeah, we'll do that for you exactly how you want to do it. Just show me what you want and we'll do it. You know.
absolutely, I
I
love
think
it.
that's important.
Sure, absolutely, because then it becomes personalized at that point. That's what they
Yeah.
wanted. That's what they built. It's not, oh, this is what they're offering. This is what I'm going to use. No, it becomes their still at that point. This is what
Yeah.
they wanted. That's what, if for whatever reasons they wanted that, it's theirs. They own it. So I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it, buddy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Derek, I'd love to have you on another time. I'm going to call it a night. It's been awesome having you and talking to you and having everybody on here tonight. It's been a really good time. One of the best interviews I've ever done, to be honest with you, sir.
Well, thank you, Uncle Moonshine. This was awesome. I had a lot of fun. It's great talking to you. I've enjoyed following you over the years, and you're an awesome guy. And I was telling people today, like me and Uncle Moonshine talked on the phone a few weeks ago. He's just a joy to talk to. So thanks for being a part of the community and being an ambassador for Moonshining. You're amazing, and keep doing
Dude,
it.
dude, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're going to come up, man. You're going to go up. You're going to be hiring me to come help you build stills.
Hey, man, I would love that. Anytime you can make it up from Florida, okay? We'll go to
Well,
Jack Stack and
I plan on when I retire in a couple of years, only a couple of years, I'm going to move to Tennessee. So you're not far from me at that point. So,
there you go. Got a couple comments coming in here at the end.
oh, let me check these comments out. I got to check that out. Man, you're going to need a few. Oh, let me catch up. I'm way behind. Damn. So be on your cut game, fellas. Yeah, ladies, I read that earlier. Yep, that's going to take a couple of days. Damn, I'm way behind. Pot still for sure. That's come from Frank Thompson. Shadow jumped in the house. I don't know if you realize this, Derek. There's another Mark Morgan out there. He lives in Virginia. We call him Shadow.
Okay.
So if you see Mark Morgan twice on any podcast or anything else, yeah, there's two of them. Just kind of look
That's
at the
Shadow
logo.
Morgan. Okay.
Kind of look at the logo. But yeah, I need to highlight these so we can read them. Oh, the vodka guy. Right at my house. That is good. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't keeping up with the comments. I got so involved in the interview. Nope. The old man who taught me said keep it running, and you don't have to clean it that much. Exactly. You
Yeah,
don't. You want that patina because it also pulls that flavor out of that too.
that's right.
I clean my still about once a year because I run the same shit potato. But I got 2 more runs of potato I'm going to do, and I'm going to go start going over to corn. I will clean it before I go to corn.
I don't have a link necessarily. Coppermoonstill.com. It's copper moon like the moon, still.com. And you can see my webpage and everything on there.
Yeah,
Get my phone number on there. Just give me a text, guys.
yep, got his phone number. He's got pictures of all the different kinds of stills he's got. Guys, check it out, man. Does some good work. That's really good work. I'm really, really impressed. Is that Ozark Mountain Distillery? that you're talking about, the story?
I watched a couple of their videos in the last day or two.
Both of y'all gotta come down to Louisiana next year. Yeah, absolutely, Jason. You're right.
Yeah.
I definitely want to make that next year. Hey, brother, I was told as long as you know your master story, it doesn't matter what others say. You're right, Frank. You're right. It doesn't
That's
matter.
true.
You're right.
That's true.
That good stuff. Yeah. Gotta run. Much love from South Carolina, everybody. Thanks for coming in, Frank. Jason Cousin Uncle Moonshine makes good barbecue sauce. I forgot about that. Yeah. Hell yeah. MorganMoonshine.com. Get you some barbecue sauce.
Oh, brother, I'm gonna have to get me some of that.
I got some rub too.
I didn't know about that.
Hell yeah. I'll send you some, buddy. I'll get you out there.
All right.
Hell yeah. Try that out and you can do a review on it. I heard that I'm gonna have to get some. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get you some. MorgansMoonshine.com. Check it out. Website I got. All the products I have are on there. Yes, recirculating pump is the shit. Yeah, dude, I totally agree with that. And if I had to do something different, I asked you that question earlier, that would definitely be on this still right here. I guarantee it. In fact, I might bring it with me when I come see you, and we'll put it on there.
That's fair. There you go. Yeah, we'll go to Jack Stack and we'll dump your barbecue
Oh,
sauce on their
dude,
burn
oh
ins.
my God, that
Yeah.
Jack, don't stop. I bypass it at least. Hillbilly Matthias, hey, I know you guys. Yes, you do, Matthias. Good to see you, buddy. Good review, by the way. Thanks, brother, for doing that review on that shine. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, Matthias is awesome.
Yeah, I love Matthias. He's pretty cool. Howdy, y'all. Yeah, I I into the smoke and liquor. Forgot y'all we're starting at 7. Okay, you're getting
Got a
it.
little too into the smoking liquor today, huh?
Yeah, got a little
You
far
lost
into
track of
it.
time.
Got in late, missed most of it, y'all. Uh, Hillbilly Glass Barrels, you can always go back and watch the video. You know it's all there.
Hillbilly Glass Barrels is another person I'm following. They're great peoples.
Yeah, Hillbilly Glass Barrels, he and I have been friends for a while. Great guy. Got a great product, got a great concept. He's been tweaking it and doing a good job with it. I got one of his first products. It worked good. Had to tweak it quite a bit, and he's been working on that and making it better. So hats off to him for that. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Richard, great hobby. I love the mash bill and fermentation side of it just as much as I believe. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. It's important.
There's a good question. So, do you have a preference on your yeast there, Derek?
Yeah. So my favorite yeast to use is a Lutra Kveik. This yeast was kind of discovered in a 700-year-old brewery in Norway on a mash paddle. So the brewery took it upon themselves to go around their ancient brewery and find different yeasts. What they ended up finding was this mutated strain of yeast that's extremely temperature tolerant. You can run this yeast between 68 and 96 degrees, and it's good. And it ferments up to 15% alcohol by volume. And I'm just saying this, they don't claim it on their package. I'm saying it will tear up starch. If you don't get a good conversion, this yeast will absolutely finish out your conversion. So
Hey,
that's my
Derek,
favorite.
I don't know if you can or not, but if you can scroll and comment on the comments, I'll be right back. Sorry for the interruption. I'll be right back. The last one was Hillbilly Glass with the yeast. That's why I
I
asked
see
you
it
the yeast.
there.
Okay, all right.
Indeed, indeed, brother. Hillbilly Matthias, Hillbilly Glass Barrels, got in late. I think we're going down. Like me, spotting Moonlight, soon to be homegirl. Oh, I get you, Matthias. Mash Brothers Moonshine, Copper Stills are the way, or Copper Moon Stills are the way. Thank you, Mash Brothers. David Dance said, "Hello, brother. Sorry I didn't get in. Just not feeling good today. David, feel better, brother. Hope you recover soon." Richard Henderson, have a great night, fellas. Good night, Richard. Thank you for everything. Thanks for watching. Afraid Not, wanting a link, coppermoonstill.com. Thank you for asking. Hillbilly Matthias, I got y'all Big Flex and Cowboy Rock On, Shine On Brothers. Hey, did you know Chuck Norris's boots were made out of real cowboys? That's something. Um, Drumming some lovin'. Great
Nice.
show. Afraid Not link. Lisa Day, hello. Sorry I fell asleep. It's okay. You're awake now. Richard
Well,
Henderson said that rub is amazing. Just had it on chops tonight. That sounds delicious. I just had pork chops last night.
Ooh.
I love pork chops.
My
Afraid
wife,
Not link.
my wife did a pork ribs last night. Oh my god! With that rub and that barbecue sauce. Oh my god, dude.
Man, I gotta
Later,
get me
she did
some.
a chicken with that. Oh my god. I made
Jason
that based on chicken, but it works on everything. It really does.
Jason said now he wants burn ins, dang it.
Thinking out what burnt is. The Richardson, think Becky Voss is solid too. Yeah. So that's what is that what you were saying, Derek? The Quebecy,
It's the Kvike, yeah,
Quebecy?
Kviekeik,
Yeah.
yeast. Yeah, it's not all Kvikes are made equally, and not all of them are as temperature tolerant as this one. Specifically, the Lutra. It's Lutra
I'm gonna have to
Kvike.
write that down.
It's got a skunk on the front of the package. You can get it online. Don't get it on Amazon. It's overpriced at Amazon. But hey, get this yeast, get it going, and save it for a few generations. It is a little bit more expensive than just some daddy yeast, but
Well,
it's definitely worth
I
it.
use Daddy's, and my biggest problem here in Florida is the heat. So I have to
Yeah.
have something that's heat tolerant.
Let me also say this about yeast. I use a blend of yeast. I'll
Sure.
throw in some bread yeast, some Fleischmann's. I'll use a little bit of daddy, and then it really depends on what I'm doing, what kind of yeast I choose. If I'm using a lot of fruit, I'm going to say, what have they historically used on fruit?
EC
Uh,
eleven
shan-
eighteen.
exactly, 1118. You get a champagne yeast on that. If I'm doing just an all grain, no corn whiskey, I'm going to use an ale yeast, something that's been historically used on ales. But
Okay.
always look at the ABV and what it can ferment out. That's super
So
important
what
too.
you're saying, you convert back and forth. You're not saying add two different ones to a different mash.
I am saying use multiple. Use a blend of yeast on each mash. Use a bread yeast for that breadiness. Use a yeast that's historically used for the grains or the fruit that you're using. And then I always add in the Kvike to get me up to that 15% ABV, because I'm always making mashes that are 15% so I can get the most out of my runs that I can.
So I'm just trying to be clear on this because I think I'm disagreeing with you, but I want to make sure I'm clear on this before I disagree with you. So you're actually saying if you're doing a mash grain that's different kinds of grains, or if you
Yeah.
go through and a grain.
Let's just say I'm making a whiskey,
Okay.
right? Um, I'll add in bread yeast for the breadiness. So
Okay.
like a Fleischmann's bread yeast. So that gives me a little bit of breadiness from the yeast that's going to make my whiskey get that kind of bready flavor. It's kind of an old school kind of mash.
I used
But
Fleshman's for years.
yeah, but Fleischmann's will only ferment out to like 4.5% ABV before it falls out of attenuation, right? I want more alcohol out of it than this, right? So not only will I use the Fleischmann's will die after 4% alcohol has been achieved in the fermenter.
Okay.
So I'll use another yeast that'll take me through to where I want to be. That Kvike will take me through to the 10% or 15% that I want to be at, right? So I'm still
Yeah.
getting the bready flavors, but I'm fermenting a much higher alcohol content.
I've used Fleshman's for years on that 5 gallon pot that I was talking about, and I was using the potato shine. I would yield a 9% just off Fleshman's. It would
Wow.
go for 9%. Um, but my research and everything tells me that some yeast will overcome the other yeast. They will eat that yeast.
Yeah.
So if I put a Flashman's in an EC1118, the EC1118 is going to eat the Flashman's. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen. Yeah, you're hoping for the best. It's not like all yeast are cannibalistic; they will eat each other.
right.
It's not like you're not going to get any bready characteristic off of that yeast. You're going to
Okay.
get some.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm following you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's the point of the blend. So yeah, the yeast is good. One yeast is going to win over the other in the end, definitely. But you want some flavor yeast, and then you want the yeast to carry you through to
To get
whatever
you higher
bricks
ABV.
content you're going
Right.
to.
I
Yeah.
got you. That makes sense. But yeah. Okay. I was off in left field over here somewhere, so but it makes sense now. I appreciate that clarifying that for me. Well, guys. Uh, well, Richard says step yeasting.
Yeah, so he's saying like add your Fleischmann's first and let your Fleischmann's do what it's going to do, and then add your
Then
stronger
add the
yeast to yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes total sense because I heard a lot of guys talking about adding all these yeast all at once. Well, now they're battling. Now you're going to have a what the fuck's the word I'm looking for?
Like a
Uh,
competition
yeah,
for
it's yeast stress. It's going to stress
yeah,
out.
yeast
You're going to
stress.
need
You
that flavor.
yeah.
So, but I agree with what you're saying now. If you add one, and once it's done fermenting off, then throw in the other. That's yeah, I get that. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Total sense. I get that. That's cool. Hillbilly Glass or Hillbilly Matthias. Man, I'm getting a buzz. I got to get up at 3 o'clock. That being said, y'all, I'm going to end this. Derek, it's been a really good pleasure. I can't wait to have you on again, brother, and I can't wait to meet you in person. And we'll definitely work on a mash or still build together. We'll work it out, and man, it's been a great
Nice
night.
talking to you. Nice talking to
Absolutely.
you, brother. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. It's good seeing everybody.
All right,
Cheers.
so that's going to do it for this jar. Big thanks to our guest tonight for bringing the stories, the craft, and the kind of knowledge you can't buy off a shelf. You just can't. Remember, a good still ain't just copper or curves. It's the hands that built it, the mash you respect, and the patience you bring to the run. Absolutely. Low and slow, you gotta have patience. Low and slow. That's my motto. Low and slow. So keep your mash warm, your thumper honest, your spirits high, both kinds. Shine safe, shine smart, and Uncle Moonshine. See you on the next jar. Shine on, y'all.
Shine on.